Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for your top 32 here for the final round of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series for 2025. It is now that we would like to ask you to stand up, remove your hats, and please look to the far side of the track for both the Canadian and the American national anthems. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. We are having some technical difficulties with making the anthems actually play through the PA system. Please bear with us as we try to resolve this quickly. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now be seated, and we will start off with our driver introductions. All right, on your screen, first off, hailing from Northeast Pennsylvania, the local boy with the M50 Turbo BMW E46, Driver number 219, sponsored by the Land Glide app, Report All, LGE Coachworks, and Team Dirty Work, Colin Gillespie. Colin Gillespie, your defending round winner from round 3. Up next, from Gobles, Michigan, with the supercharged Coyote Mustang, driver number 207, sponsored by Hometown Collision, Nick Johnson. Up next, in the 2009 LS2 powered 135i, driver number 247, sponsored by Grip Royal and LSE9X, Josh Leatherbarrow. Up next, from North Canton, Ohio, sponsored by Zek Nova and Wilder Drift, piloting the Turbo E36, is your winner from the seating bracket, Kevin Ferraro. And now from Guelph, Ontario, Canada, sponsored by FabMac, FDF, Slip Club, Motion Detailing, and AD Parts and Performance, driving the LS swapped E46 is Liam Stamford. And now from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, driving the VR6 swapped Audi RS5, driver number 711, sponsored by TSH Auto, FCP Euro, Liquimolly, and DND Performance, Andriy Musienko. Up next, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, driving the stroked LS3 Corvette, driver number 004, sponsored by FabMac and FDF, Canada's finest, Andrew Shorkey. And now from Hemlock, New York, driving the BMW E36 with that 358 cubic inch carbureted small block Chevy, driver number 487, sponsored by Durale, ISS Pro, Marion Decker, Open Fender, Racing for a Cure, Tribodyne Racing Lubricant, Schwartzcraft's Dirt and Beyond Graphics, Retro Motorsports USA, Prop Productions, Admin Media, Nathan Self Photography, and 454 Media, Jake Schustster. Up next, from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, driving the 1JZ powered S14, driver number 109, sponsored by Distinct Drift, ACT Clutches, XXR Wheels, Fortune Auto, and Huey Brothers, Troy Manners. And now from Canton, Ohio, driving the supercharged LS-powered FRS, sponsored by Rose Motorsports, Red Line Oil, Vibrant Performance, and FabMac Industries, Elliot Rose. Up next, from Buffalo, New York, driving the 414 cubic inch LS E46 powered BMW, driver number 524, sponsored by We Care Home Care, Goon Squad, Big Indian Drift, NRG Innovations, Continental Transmissions of West Seneca, and Spooling Up Performance, Henry Donahghue. And now from Fremont, Ohio, driving the 7-liter LS-powered 350Z, driver number 069, sponsored by FabMac Industries, Wilder Drift and Race Treads, Casey Rodriguez. From Canton, Ohio, driving the 4.8-liter LS-powered 240, driver number 011, sponsored by Major League Tire, CB Glass, and Evolution Transport, Adam Bergener. Coming from Charlotte, Michigan, driving the Coyote-powered S197, driver number 143, Jeff Clark. All the way from London, Ontario, driving the LS-powered Chevrolet Corvette, sponsored by SPM Sales, Nathan Brastone. Coming from Salem, Ohio, driving that 454 cubic inch powered Corvette, driver number 033, sponsored by Lingenfelder Performance Engineering, Stratton Chevrolet, Fortune Auto, FDF Race Shop, True Fiber, Oracle Lighting, and Valino Tire, Dirk Stratton. Coming from Colchester, Connecticut, driving the 5.2 Voodoo-powered Mustang, driver number 020, sponsored by Rips Racing, Redline Oil, Paragon Pro, Gem Sport, ACT, RTS, and Allard Palmer Landscaping, Eric Canananowix. From Carrollton, Ohio, driving his LS-powered E36 BMW, driver number 036, sponsored by Total Loss Drift, Andrew Faulk. From Sandusky, Ohio, driving his Nissan 370Z, driver number 099, sponsored by Yeetworks and Gibson's Auto Solution, Brendan Gibson Freillley. From Oak Harbor, Ohio, driving the LS9 powered Nissan 350Z, driver number 480, sponsored by FabMac Industries, Wilder Drift, Lake Erie Speedway, Kong Performance, Wagner Automotive, Extreme Graphics, and Koenig's Wheels, Alan Boss. Up next from Vermilion, Ohio, driving an LS3 powered Mazda RX-8, driver number 008, sponsored by Zek Nova Tires, Nick Yanucci. And now from Diamonddale, Michigan, driving the 2JZ powered 240 SX, driver number 088, sponsored by Threads and Laces, plus Distinct Drift, Hometown Collision, Lifted Media, and 660 Media, Mo Alderman. From Elyria, Ohio, driving his turbocharged 370Z, driver number 013, sponsored by 2HP Media, Continental Performance, Oddball Motorworks, and VPF Performance, Theon Nelson. Another hometown boy from Erie, PA, driving his 5.3 LS Swap 240 SX, sponsored by Pizza Boy Metalworks, Poor Richards Cuts, Bruno Creative Solutions LLC, A-Rod Speed Shop, The Mad Lad, Solo Garage, No Name Performance, and Team Vacation, Ben Bruno. From Lowbanks, Ontario, driving his LS E46, driver number 046, sponsored by Tin Addicts and Canadian Part Outs, Ryan Mucci. Up next from Fall River, Massachusetts, driving his K24 turbo-powered BMW E46, driver number 003, sponsored by Drift New England, ISC Suspension Limiter Glove Company, and Advanced Clutch Technology, Josh Dennis. And finally, from Georgetown, Ontario, Canada, sponsored by Slip Club and Outrun Fab, driving his LS Swapped G35 is Kyle Hoyer. As we wait for these guys to file out of the track here and we get set up to start battles, just want to reiterate once again what is on the line here at the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. This is your last grand finale, final round, round 4 of the Great Lakes FD License on the Line Pro-Am Series. So the winner of the overall series will be taking home their Pro Spec license with the full right to drive in the FD Pro Spec Series, as well as an entire list of contingencies. First place, $5,000. That is insane in and of itself for a Pro-Am series. I know everyone outside of here who's competed in drifting before knows how crazy that actually is. The entire competition has $10K up for grabs and pays all the way to 8th, which is actually nuts. You can see there the overhead shot of the paddock, everyone lined up, everyone getting ready, everyone's buckled down, getting everything prepared. On the screen now, your full bracket. Looks like Colin Gillespie going to be starting it off with a bye run, going to make it nice and easy, give you guys an opportunity to just see the layout for what it is. As we wait for Colin to make his way to the line here, just want to give a shout out to the sponsors in question: ProWay Services, Formula Drift, ECU Master USA, Drift PA Ohio, New York, and Distinct Drift. If you need Zestino tires, which you do if you drift, hit up Distinct Drift, ladies and gentlemen. He gets the thumbs up. I'm going to keep my mouth shut so you guys can just listen and watch. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Colin Gillespie with the bye run. Going to show you how it's done to start off the top 32 bracket. All right, on the line now, the winner of the seating bracket, Kevin Ferraro and Nick Johnson. All right, we have confirmation the track is hot. We are good to send cars. The lights are on. When they go off, they will leave the line. Kevin Ferraro going to lead the way here. You can see Nick Johnson not really letting him get away there on the run-up. Kevin, really nice, just smooth handbrake pull initiation, puts him right in the zone. Keeps the tire in it almost all the way around the bank, comes off the bank, a little bit of handbrake pull just to stretch it out to that second outside zone. Good transition, a little slip up there from Johnson, but he's trying to make up some ground here at the end of this run. And Kevin Ferraro hitting that inner clip and just putting it against the wall to finish off the run. Nick Johnson really trying to make up some space there at the end. You can see on this replay that torque pulling numbers for Johnson coming off the line, gets right up next to the BMW, and then the BMW gets into boost and just opens up a gap. And Kevin puts it high on the bank and just leaves it there. And you can see the brake check there coming off the bank by Johnson, trying not to get into the back of the BMW. And Kevin just a little bit tight on the inner clip, kicks the cone into the infield there. And Nick still trying to make up ground, getting to that final outside zone. But Nick Johnson here will get an opportunity to answer back. We can see what Kevin can do in the chase. Kevin, a little bit of a failure to launch there on the line. Now he's going to have a lot of ground to make up, but he makes it up quick. Starting off the bank there with maybe a 5-car gap, tightens it up towards the end of the bank to only maybe 1 car between the two. Really nice transition there by Ferraro to get up next to the Mustang there as they come through the infield. Both cars going right through that inner clip, and Kevin not letting him make any ground up there towards the end of the run. You can see there on the replay, Kevin just not quite getting off the line there with Johnson in the Mustang. But Nick still running that kind of mid-line, not really getting up into that first outside zone, and gives Kevin the chance to scoot down the bank a little bit, makes up a bunch of ground really quick, and then the rest of the run is just, I mean, textbook chase. Less than a car between the two all the way around. Looking here in the live chat, people seem to be pulling pretty hard there for Mr. Ferraro, and we can only wait to see what the judges say. And there you have it. It is unanimous. Kevin Ferraro will take the win over Nick Johnson. All right, we're getting confirmation up here. Due to a burst radiator not being able to get fixed in time, Leatherbarrow going to take his bye run. That is Josh Leatherbarrow in that big LS-powered BMW 135i. Warming up his tires, Musienko, a previous winner here at the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series, going to get to go against Stamford, who is a first-timer. So very interesting battle about to happen. One guy who we know very, very well and is a phenomenal driver. Another guy who we just met today. All right, you can see there in the Audi with that VR6 power under the hood, going to lead the way is Musienko. Getting his chance to chase that car is Stamford in the LS-powered BMW E46. Lights are off, and they have left the line. This layout plays well to the power of that Audi. You can see really high on the bank, touches the wall, and it straightens the car just a little bit, but Stamford unfazed in the chase. Maybe two cars between the two as they come into the infield. And Stamford, really nice transition, but just drops the tire through the back of that zone as they come past that inner clip. Nice and tight. Stamford not letting him get away, though. And what a way to come out on your first competition battle for the top 32 bracket against Musienko, a known shark in the water, to just put it down with such confidence there in the chase. Interesting turnaround here. Liam going to have to lead the way, and Andre has to have a spotter in his ear telling him, you're going to have to push this one. He was not giving you any room there. All right, bit of an interesting stagger here for Andre, trying to jump the light a little bit, get that thing into boost early and keep up with the torque of that LS. Stamford pulls away, the lights are off, and you can see Andre burning the tires down at the line. Oh my goodness, almost puts it into the side of the BMW. Liam, though, putting down an absolute heater of a lead coming through that bank. And you can hear the LS. He is pedaled down all the way into the infield. Andre not letting him get away, though, as he takes out the inner clip. A little bit of a correction there by Musienko in the chase. This would be something I have no interest in judging between these two. Liam, fantastic job on both sides. Andre, the chase was looking a little shaky. You can see there in the replay, Stamford just putting the bumper on the wall and keeping it there all the way through that first zone. Really hard thump as he comes off the bank into the infield to make that transition, but he deals with it perfectly. And then you can see the finish off the run. Less than a car between these two anywhere, but Andre was 100% trying to make up some ground there. That might be the first time we've seen somebody actually pull out on Andre Musienko like that to open a gap. And you can see it on the left side of the screen there. Andre, a little bit of a shaky initiation there in chase as well. This is really, really interesting. A little bit of a gap, though, from Liam in the chase on Andre. And you can see in the chase, Liam drops a tire out of the back of that second zone. So there's a little bit of fault here on both sides. Not really sure how the judges are going to look at it, but my goodness, what a battle to start off the night here. All right, we are still up here listening to the judges discuss the ins and outs of this battle on both sides of the equation. You can see there, those two cars sitting. This is kind of the beauty of drifting in my eyes. You see all the sponsorships, big flashy livery, absolutely amazing car there driven by Andre Musienko, and he is in battle with what looks to be a pretty basic E46, even though we know that's not true. And you can see on your screen one more time between these two, giving them an opportunity to come out and put it down again and try and clean up a little bit of things here and there, maybe on both sides of the board. But ultimately, just too close to call there between the two of them. You can see on the line the Oracle Lighting LS7 Lingenfelder-powered Corvette of Dirk Stratton going to give a buy run. This car sounds insane. There you have it. Dirk Stratton going to finish off the buy run. I cannot express to you, unless you are here, how violent that backfire is when he lets off in that car. It shoots flames out of every pipe on the back of it, and it shakes the windows in the booth. Robert Beal behind me with Prop Production says that when that car backfires, it maxes out all of the audio limiters on all of our sound equipment in the booth. This is an interesting battle as well. We have Jake Schustster with the carbureted small block going against Andrew Shorkey in the LS3 powered C5 Vet. Earlier today, Schustster, I would say, put down one of the best competitive runs I think I've ever seen him run. Amazing to see him making progression the way that he is. And Shorkey, never a slouch, just the most violent driver we know. And you can see there, really good initiation. Shorkey just sits it on the wall, but Schustster, maybe a car width down the barrel, down the the bank there, but not letting him get away. Schustster cuts the line a little bit, trying to make up some ground. Shorkey, though, doing a phenomenal job in the lead as they come around to finish. And I got to say that coming from outside one into that infield there, Schustster just, I don't know if maybe he was trying to make up some ground, cut the line a little bit, or maybe just got lost in the smoke from the back of the vet. But it looked a little bit janky coming from the bank down into the infield. And you can see just the difference between these two cars, the amount of smoke coming off the back of the vet. And you can see right there, Schustster just kind of peeks through the smoke and ends up a little bit shallow, and he's got to dig his way back out. Shorkey, though, unfazed, just staying on line, doing everything he needs to do there in the lead. And really interesting to see what happens here. I know that Schustster was running a really, really nice lead line, and I'm hoping that Shorkey saw that and has the confidence to really get up there, because Shorkey is one of the most aggressive chase drivers I know personally. Schustster with a straight line initiation. He's a little bit shallow, but he's making his way back up to the wall there as they come around the bank. Shorkey giving him maybe a 2 or 3 car gap there as they come now to the infield. Schustster fills that little touch and go zone into that second outside through the inner clip, now to the final outside zone. Very similar spacing there to finish out the run between the two guys. Shorkey, though, just making all kinds of smoke. You can see here on the replay this initiation. Shorkey, I don't know if he's stepping back a little bit, maybe trying to give some room, but good 3, 4, maybe even 5 car gap there between him on initiation, and Shorkey trying to make up some ground there around the bank. You just dipping a tire into that zone as Jake Schustster in the lead now through that outside zone in the infield, past the inner clip. And Shorkey, I mean, I feel like he's maybe giving him some room. I know that he can get closer to that. Maybe Schuster's car is deceptively fast. All right, Andrew Shorkey will indeed move on over Jake Schustster, but not for the lack of fight there from Jake. Got to give it to him, buddy, for putting the small block in the E36 and coming out looking absolutely fantastic. And Shorkey, as we all know, is not the first guy you want to pull here in the first round of brackets. All right, this is Troy Manners here, going to get to take a bye run. Troy, no stranger to this competition in the JZ-powered S14. All right, and there you have it. All the JZ noises there coming from Troy Manners in that S14.5, I think is what we're calling it these days. But Troy Manners is an absolute animal behind the wheel of that car. He has one of the best leads, some of the most aggressive chases, and getting a bye run, even though he is a previous winner and always a contender. All right, on the line there, Elliott Rose in the supercharged LS FRS, I believe it technically is, and Henry Donahghue in the big 414 cubic inch LS powered E46. Didn't get a chance to watch Elliott drive earlier. He goes for that straight clutch kick initiation, a little bit slower, but he's making up some speed now as they come through the bank. Donahghue, maybe 2 or 3 cars back, puts a bunch of angle in it coming off the bank, but it works out well, puts him right up next to that FRS as they come through the infield. And Elliott goes a little bit inside there on that clip and ends up taking out the cone, and Henry kind of has to check up as well, but they do ultimately finish out maybe 2 cars apart there on the end of the run. You can see they're coming through the infield there in the replay. It looks like Henry kind of tries to get in right next to the FRS, and you can see Elliott just kind of goes a little inside, and I'm not really sure that Henry had anywhere to go there because he was trying to get close to the side of that FRS and ended up just kind of getting choked up a little bit. Giving the guys on track here a minute to put the cones back up. And you can see the lights are on. As they extinguish, they will leave the line. Henry Donahghue going to lead the way for Elliott Rose. Henry also goes for the straight line initiation, little handbrake pull to get the car sideways. And they are running a mid-line there on the bank, not quite getting out to that zone, but Henry gets into that second outside zone nice and early, makes the transition here through the infield, gets it right where it needs to be on that inner clip, and ultimately a little shallow on that final outside zone. Elliott Rose maybe three and a half cars back there to finish up the run. Giving you guys a chance here to look at this replay, and you can see there, bit of a midline on the bank, not quite getting out to that zone. Henry gets into the second zone nice and early, and I can't really see that second zone, but the transition looks good. Elliott deals with it well, and you can see there again, Elliott just a little bit shallow on the inner clip, takes out the cone again. Really interesting battle between these two. As you can see the cone getting thrown back so they can go put it back where it needs to be. As we wait for the judges' deliberation here, I'm just going to take a chance, do some interaction here on the chat for the YouTubes. Seeing the media guy looks like he's having a great time on grid. Always. Media guys are always having a great time. Shout out to all those. You can also see Squigs down there with the shout out Garvin Valera. Absolutely. Shout out to all the media people here today. They're also helping out reset the track when we need it. So a huge shout out to all those guys. Thank you for being here. Putting a side-by-side there up on the screen. You can see, I mean, Elliott Rose has a pretty decent gap on Henry there coming out of the bank, but ultimately goes 2 tires off in that third outside zone, and then a little bit shallow coming that inner clip. And on the other side, Henry kind of running the midline on the bank, doesn't quite get up as high, so there's a little bit of funk here on both sides of the map. Just going to see how the judges want to look at it. There you go. Elliott Rose in the FRS going to take the win over Henry Donahghue. All right, and on the line now, going to see the one more time battle between Andre Musienko and Liam Stanford. Andre going to lead the way here, pulling a pretty decent gap there on Liam into turn 1. Both cars getting really close to the wall. Liam puts a little bit of angle into it, ends up driving down the bank just a little bit. Sparks flying out of the back of the Audi as they make that transition off the bank to the flat bottom of the infield. Liam not letting Andre make really any gap come between the cars, doing a really good job there in chase. And Andre's car just putting off so much smoke that I can only imagine how hard it is to just have the confidence to transition and hope everything's going to be good in front of you. You can see there what I was talking about. Liam has to put some angle into the car to avoid putting it on the wall and ends up driving him down the bank just a little bit. Andre, though, absolutely fantastic lead line. You can see the sparks coming out of the Audi there. That transition from the bank to the flat of the infield is pretty rough. And they're finishing off maybe 2 cars between the two. Andre once again doing a little bit staggered start, probably trying to get the Audi in to boost, try and make up some gap there on the LS. See if Liam Stanford can hold up again that amazing lead line he had. Straight line initiation, puts it right in the zone, and he stays in it all the way around that first big bank ride as they come now to the infield. Andre really, really diving in there and ends up touching the front tire of Liam and sends him around. Really, really unfortunate event there. Not really sure who would be at fault for that. I know there is a braking zone there, but whether or not maybe Liam was on the brakes a little bit too long, maybe Andre was just getting a little overzealous there in chase, trying to really make it stick. Take a look here at the replay. You can see that initiation working really, really well for Liam. It puts him nice and high on the bank. He stays in the first outside zone all the way around. Sparks coming off the back of the Audi from the bank as well. You can see, actually, I mean, maybe Liam already over-rotating, and Andre just doesn't really have anywhere to go. There you have it. Andre Musienko going to move on over Liam Stamford. I'm assuming that's what I said was correct then? Yeah, so Liam Stamford there is already in the over-rotation. Andre Musienko is diving in, trying to get nice and close to the side of the BMW, and just doesn't have anywhere to go, so he just ends up just a little touch on the front tire there, but ultimately Liam probably was already going around. So Andre going to take the win. All right, you can see Casey Rodriguez going to take his bye run. You can see there Casey Rodriguez giving you the quintessential perfect example of a lead run there, hitting all the zones, staying where he needs to be, putting a bunch of power in the car. Everything looks great, as we come to expect from Casey Rodriguez. Shout out to the Yeet Fleet boys. I know Pernstar's down there watching in Florida, and I know that Mama Boss and Alan Boss are here as well. And I believe Brendan Freillley is on the team these days as well. Shout out to all you guys. All right, we have Adam Bergener going to lead the way for Nathan Brastone. Nathan, another one who came to these events earlier and ended up having some car troubles, wasn't able to compete, so this is his first technical time in competition here at the Great Lakes Pro-Am. Bergener, a veteran at this point, getting nice and high on the bank and then ends up just driving down a little bit. Oh my goodness, Bergener falls out of drift and straightens up bad on the bank. Good save though, does not put it into the wall. Brastone doing a good job there in chase as well to avoid the contact with Adam Bergener. And they're going to finish it off here. I mean, what a moment there for Adam Bergener in the lead. Puts it up on the bank where it needs to be, gets into the zone, and the car just might not have the forward drive or the wheel speed to keep him in drift there. But a fantastic save. And Nathan Brastone, kudos to you for not getting into the back of the 240 and just drive him into the wall as well. And you can see it there. It just falls out of drift. A little touch maybe on the wall, and Brastone just over-rotate there. Just stay out of the way. Don't hurt somebody else's car if you can avoid it. All right, thumbs up all around. The lights are on. The lights are going off. Brastone going to lead the way now. Bergener knowing full well that it is a checkers or wreckers moment for him. Brastone with the straight line initiation. Kind of wavering pretty badly there on the bank. Not really sure if he was in drift, out of drift, or really just shallow on angle, but coming now through the infield, both cars shutting it down. Bergener loops it, and it sounds like Brastone went to let the clutch out, and it went straight to limiter, and there's a lot of smoke coming out of the back of that car. Maybe some clutch slippage, maybe just a full-blown clutch failure there, but something from the engine to the rear end is not connected anymore. All right, take a look here at the replay. And Brastone, I mean, the straight line initiation, you can see just a little bit of wavering there on the bank. And as they come off here, yeah, big thump coming down to that infield, and then you can hear him up here in the booth. He lets off, and you can see all the smoke coming out of the back of the vet. And if you don't know anything about the anatomy of a Corvette, the transmission is a transaxle. So it is a torque tube car. The transmission is actually attached to the rear axle of the car, and you can see all the fluid coming out of the back of that. I have to assume something in the trans, something in the diff has let go. And, I mean, what a thing. I talked to Brastone earlier today, and he said that the whole reason he didn't get to compete last time is because he had a throw-out failure, or a slave cylinder failure, I believe was what it was. So just plagued here with drivetrain issues. Unfortunate for Nathan Brastone. Adam Bergener, though, may have just got a bit of a gift there with that lead run that he had. It looks like the judges are going to go one more time. I don't really see a world where Brastone can fix that car in time to get back out, but, I mean, Godspeed, brother. All right, well, they get Nathan off the track here to take him back and see if he can maybe pull a miracle out and get something going in that vet. We are going to take a look back here to some of the previous rounds, just some clips we have. I can see one more time in a not fun way. Yeah. On the screen there, you can see there's some oil down on track from the vet. While we give these guys a chance to get all this cleaned up, just want to reiterate once again, this is the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. This is round 4. This is the grand finale. This is sponsored by ProWay Services, Formula Drift, ECU Master USA, Drift P Ohio, New York, Distinct Drift. Whoever wins the series gets their Pro Spec license. We are a FD sanctioned series, so a whole bunch on the line. And you hate to see a guy come out, especially Nate. I know I talked to him earlier. I was doing tech with the guys over in the barn, and he had mechanical issues, wasn't able to compete in round 3, makes it out to round 4. Car seems fine, everything's working great, and now this. just a really, really unfortunate series of events there. We are getting word that the Corvette is indeed done. Adam Bergener has came down onto the track, rolled across the line. That's enough to get the buy run out of the way to finish the other half of that, or to finish the one more time, I guess, not the other half. So Bergener is going to move on ultimately. While we have some downtime here, just want to talk to the peeps over in the YouTube stream. The Burn Star stream has so much lag, it jumped back to last event. Ha ha ha, you're funny. Love you. Squigs is in there, you can't park there. Yeah. At least the weather for the event is beautiful. Absolutely. Now, if you could just stop talking about it, that would be great. Spiral says at least it looks like it's all mostly off course. Yeah, I mean, as long as you ignore the 100-foot strip dead center of an outside zone. Mal says you'll have that on these big jobs. Yeah, I mean, that is the nature of the beast here with drifting. You build something, and it'll work perfectly right until you bring it to the racetrack, and then it does all the things that race cars do as good as they do. And I just got sent a picture from down on track from Gary Lebowski, Mr. 454 Media himself, of a chunk of what looks to be transaxle of Corvette. He says, from the vet, doesn't look good. But yeah, I would have to agree. Like we said earlier, got confirmation the Corvette's done. All the fluid that was inside the trans/diff is no longer there. And Brastone will have, I guess, now all winter to figure it out again, man. Wig says, best question is how you doing tonight, Zach? I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here. Weather's been nice all day. Been hanging out, talking to everybody. Now I'm up here in the booth playing Lone Ranger, and so far it's going all right. I also have microphones up here that I can force on the judges anytime I want, and I like having that amount of power over them, so I'll be enforcing that later, I'm sure. All right, you can see there on the screen, that is your bracket. All the winners highlighted in yellow as they're going to make their way through here and update it. What exactly are they putting down on the track? That is oil dry. It's just a really dry substance. We typically use kitty litter if it's in the garage. Here it's an actual thing. It's just very hydroscopic. Anything fluid, it takes it in, you can blow it off, and the next thing you know, track's dry, everything's good to go. A little bit of dust down, but that's it. Gwig says, is it safety clean? I have no idea, man. Maybe. Probably. You seem to know more than I do. Also, if you're over there in the pits and you're hanging out, it's going to get cold out. I know a lot of the guys driving tonight have some shirts, maybe some hoodies, maybe some jackets. Take a walk around, support the programs, help the guys out. None of this is cheap. None of this is easy. Support who you can, when you can, with what you can. Go over to the Rusty Wheel, get yourself some food, get yourself a drink, stay hydrated. Wiggs, Gary Lebowski says it is indeed safety clean. Good guess, brother. Good guess. All right, while these guys are getting this cleaned up, hearing some chatter over the radios up here in the booth, the first battle back out, going to get a sight lap to see how much this oil spill has affected the grip there in that outside zone, or whether or not the dust is going to change some things. It does for a couple of minutes, and then once it's all kind of displaced by rubber and all other means of dust and things, it's pretty good to go. It looks like Eric Canananowix making his way down the chute there. Jeff Clark there. So we're going to have an all Mustang battle. Very different cars, though. Eric Canananowix has the 5.2 liter Voodoo under the hood of the S197. If you look at it up close, that's a full-blown race car. And I believe Jeff Clark still has interior. So two very different things. Similar looking, not similar. Star there says Mustangs do the thing. Yes, crazy how much they've came into the fray as a viable chassis here in drifting. From the S650, 550, 197, new edges, even a couple of Fox bodies floating around out there. Everything you can imagine, the whole Mustang lineup back to the 90s is at a track somewhere. All right, you can see these guys just going to take a cruise around the track, take a look at that outside zone, see what the grip situation looks like before they go throwing off the bank into that safety clean, courtesy of Squigs. Huge shout out to the safety guys here at the Speedway for getting on top of that, getting it taken care of quickly. Absolutely always on top of things. Can't thank those guys enough, especially coming out here, dealing with us for the weekend, putting up with drifting as a whole, and just kind of being cool to everybody. Huge shout out to Lake Erie Speedway as a whole. And massive thank you to AJ Moore, the track manager of this Speedway. I know he doesn't like to be shouted out, but I love you, buddy, and thank you for having us all here. All right, we have confirmation. We are good to go. Eric Canananowix is going to lead the way over Jeff Clark here. All right, the lights are off, and they've left the line. And you can see just how much power that 5.2 makes in Eric Canananowicz's car. Jeff Clark a little bit further down the bank, trying to make up some ground here, maybe a little bit too far down the bank. Eric Canananowix fills all of outside zone 1 and 2, now transitioning into the infield. Jeff Clark sends it around. Canananowix going to finish off the run unopposed. This is really a David and Goliath battle. Jeff Clark, relatively, I don't want to say low power because that's insulting, that's not right, but lesser power than Eric Canananowix. And Canananowix, I mean, if you get a chance to go up and look at that car, please go up and look at that car. It is insane what is underneath the hood of that thing. All right, the lights are off. Jeff Clark has to know that he's got to put down a heater. Canananowix, not sure what his spotter said to him, but I'm sure it went something along the lines of don't try and kill it. Jeff Clark initiates, and he is wavering bad on the bank, not able to keep that car in drift, but Canananowix leaving some gap there. So he's, you can see Jeff Clark straightens it up, has a little bit of a wavering there. Reinitiates into that outside zone, and Canananowix just kind of chilling behind him, going to finish off the run. And I'd have to imagine this is a pretty easily judged battle here. Canananowix doing a phenomenal job in the lead, putting that car everywhere it needs to be. Clark obviously sent it around in his chase, and then as they switch it around, Clark looks like he may just be struggling a little bit with the bank. And you can see there on the replay some wavering, just kind of coming in and out of drift there, not really able to keep the angle in the car. Canananowix behind him, giving him some space, letting him do his thing. As that big correction there from Clark in the lead as they transition off the bank into the infield. And Canananowix there towards the end, just choking up a little bit, making up some ground. Eric Canananowix unanimously going to move on over Jeff Clark. On the line now, Andrew Faulk in the LS-powered E36, sponsored by Total Loss and Steel City Grease. Going to get chased by Brendan Freillley in what I believe is a pretty much stock 370Z. Andrew, a bit of a story here for the year. Kind of shy, doesn't really talk much, but man, when he drives, he is phenomenal. He's making so much progress. Takes nothing away from Freillley, though, putting it down in the stock Z. As they come now to the infield, little handbrake pull there by Faulk just to get the car to line up and get in that zone. Freillley, though, not letting him get away anywhere. Fantastic transition there to make their way to the end of the run in that final outside zone. Taking a look at the replay here. Andrew Faulk transitions into his initiation, a little bit lower on the bank, doesn't quite get out to that zone, but it ends up working out pretty good for Freillley there in the chase, having the little bit of a disparage of horsepower there on the stock Z. And you can see there as they finish it off, Brendan not letting Andrew get away. All right, thumbs up, the lights are on, and they are off, and they have left the line. Really interested to see what happens here. What does Faulk do in the chase? Freillley gets a little bit of a gap there, makes his way up the bank wall. You can see the left foot brake there, and I'm assuming that's not trying to slow the car down. He's just trying to keep it at angle and make it around the bank. Faulk leaving maybe a 1.5, 2-car gap there as they come through the infield. Freillley hits the inside clip, makes his way up to the final outside zone, and Faulk making up a little bit of ground there. Not quite getting to the side of the Z, but within a car for sure there to finish out the run. Taking a look now at the replay. You can see Brendan initiates really high up the bank, maybe gets a tire into that first outside zone, but still maybe on that third line, not quite getting all the way out to the zone. Left foot breaking his way around the bank just to try and anchor the front end and keep some angle in the car. Good transition there into the infield. Andrew Faulk not really getting up too close to the Z, but definitely not letting him get away by any means. All right, and Andrew Faulk will move on over Brendan Freillley. And you can see on the line, Alan Boss going to take a by run here. There you go. Alan Boss going to finish off the by run. Got a chance to talk to him in tech as well. Alan running on a 235 rear tire tonight with 265 being our limit. So taking a little bit of grip out of that car. It is a Pro 2 car. It's very powerful. It is very fast. It has all the grip in the world. So maybe just trying to make it a little bit more comparative to other cars here on grid today. All right, on the line there, you can see going to lead the way is Mo Alderman in the 2JZ GTE powered S14. Going to get chased by Theon Nelson in his self-made turbo 370Z. All right, and they leave the line. Mo Alderman, an absolutely phenomenal driver. Theon Nelson putting on a show here all day, all the way through the seating bracket. You can see just how fast Mo's car is coming off the bank. Theon definitely going to struggle to keep up, but it looks like Mo may be dipping a tire out of the back of that zone, maybe even two there. So all the speed in the world there from Mo Alderman, but coming off that bank to that outside zone is just, you're scrubbing so much speed there, it almost might have bit him a little bit. You can see in the replay just how fast Mo is coming off the bank. And I do think ultimately that is kind of what causes that little bit of an issue there with that outside zone. He just has to scrub so much speed. Giving the guys a chance to reset the cones here on that outside zone. The lights are on. They are off and they are going. Theon going to lead the way now for Mo Alderman. Big weight transfer there from Theon to get up into that zone, but Mo right there on the door of the 370Z now as they come off the bank to the outside zone now. Good transition from both drivers. Theon a little bit shallow, but Mo deals with it extremely well in chase. As they come now up to the wall to finish it off, Mo not letting Theon make any ground there between the two. And Theon going to burn him off on the other bank, making his way back to where they sit to be judged. Absolutely great job by both of these guys. All right, taking a look here at the replay. Theon not quite getting into that first zone. He kind of dips in and then makes his way back out as they make their way around the bank. And you can see just how quick Mo can make up ground there on Theon through the infield. And Mo Alderman unanimously going to take the win over Theon Nelson. All right, coming out on track here, the local boy, Ben Bruno, sitting 10 in the points. Ryan Mucci in the supercharged E46. All right, Ben Bruno going to get to lead the way here first for Ryan Mucci. All right, they've left the line. Ben Bruno leading the way. Ben Bruno, a little bit of a failure to launch there, does not initiate on the bank and ends up straightening out. Mucci behind him, just doing his best. Now as they come to the infield, nice transition off the bank to reinitiate for Ben. Mucci behind him, leaving like a 3-4 car gap there all the way out to finish the run. Really unfortunate there for Ben in the lead, not able to get the car to initiate for him on the bank. All right, Mucci now going to lead the way for Ben Bruno. Ben knows he's got to put down a heater of a chase here. And Mucci has to put down the chaseable lead for Ben. Weight transfer initiation there for Mucci. Lands him right in the middle of the bank. Doesn't quite get into that zone. Ben running the same line right there on the mid of the bank as they make their transition now into the infield. Mucci doesn't quite get to that third outside zone. Doesn't quite get the inside clip. Ben, a little bit of a correction there, trying to make up some ground maybe. right, Mucci going to take the win over Ben Bruno. Ben's big fault there on the bank, just not able to make up for it there in the chase. And Mucci, although not an ideal lead, did indeed drift the whole track. So Mucci going to take the win over Ben Bruno. As the Mad Lad Industries, oh, there goes another front bumper for Ben Bruno. All right, giving a chance there. Take a look at the side of Kyle Hoyer's G35 LS Power under the hood of that car. On the other side, Josh Dennis with the extremely unique, very interesting swap, K24 Turbo under the hood of that E46. All right, they leave the line, and you can hear just the amount of boost running through the K24 there for Josh Dennis. Doesn't quite get into that first outside zone, but very high on the bank nonetheless. Same situation with the second outside zone, but Hoyer dealing with it well there in chase, but ultimately ends up going off track in the third outside zone. Dennis finishes it up clean, makes his way to that final outside zone. Hoyer in chase trying to make up some ground there. Give you guys a chance to take a look at the replay. You can see there what I was saying. Dennis not quite getting into that zone. He's got a tire on the line, but that is the bottom of the zone. And the same situation with that second outside, and Hoyer just goes a little wide there, not able to make up the ground, and Dennis going to finish it off. Hoyer not even in the screen there to finish off the run. All right, just resetting some cones here. Give these guys a chance to get that outside zone clean again. Give Hoyer a chance to lead for Josh Dennis. Give an answer there. The lights are off and they are good to leave the line. Hoyer going to lead the way. Dennis in chase. Straight line initiation from Hoyer. Same kind of situation as Dennis. He's got a tire on the line, but he's not quite in the zone. Same kind of situation there in the second zone. Really, really tight transition from Dennis as they make their way to the infield. Both cars a little bit tight on that inside clip, dipping a tire through the inside of it, but finishing off clean there against the wall. Dennis definitely keeping his proximity a little bit more in check there than Hoyer all the way through the run. You can see there on the replay this transition from Dennis almost getting into the back of the G35, but checks up well and ends up right where he needs to be. Hoyer just a little bit shallow on the inside clip, but Dennis just following the line, doing what he needs to do. And you can see Dennis going to move on over Kyle Hoyer. All right, getting confirmation from up here in the booth. We are going to take a short break here, get some new lines painted on the track. As Hoyer does his burnout there to leave. Yeah, like I was saying, we're just going to take a couple minutes here, get the lines repainted, make sure everything's nice and crisp and clean, and we can all see it. The drivers can see it as well. All right, while we take the break here, you can see the bracket is up on screen. All right, and that is your top 16 build out in front of you. Colin Gillespie, Kevin Ferraro, that is going to be a good battle. Josh Leatherbarrow, Andre Musienko. Leatherbarrow's got his work cut out for him in that for sure. Dirk Stratton, Andrew Shorkey, Battle of the Vets. Two different bodies, two very different drivers, but both of them absolute animals behind the wheel. Troy Manners and Elliott Rose, that is going to be the work is cut out for Elliott for sure. Casey Rodriguez and Adam Bergener. Bergener going to have his work cut out for him there. Eric Canananowix and Andrew Faulk. That is a David versus Goliath situation. Alan Boss and Mo Alderman. That is a finals level battle here in the top 16. Both of those guys, absolute animals. And then Ryan Mucci and Josh Dennis. All right, while we take the break here, guys, and we get the lines repainted, just want to talk real quick about the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series for what it is, what we're doing here. This is an FD sanctioned series. You're going for your pro spec license if you win here at Lake Erie Speedway. 4 rounds, top 32 at every single round. Rounds 1 and 2 were double headers, which was crazy. We had a Saturday and Sunday event. This is sponsored by ProWays Services, Formula Drift, like I've said previously, ECU Master USA, Drift PA Ohio, New York, and Distinct Drift. Distinct Drift, your go-to for Zestino tires here on the East Coast. If you haven't heard of them, look them up. You can see there on the screen now, www.lakeeriespeedway.com. If you've never been here, find a way to come here. Absolute best track I've ever been to. Once again, cannot reiterate how good the Rusty Wheel is. It is the on-site track restaurant. It's fantastic. Lake Erie Speedway on all social media for all the things you need to see. Drifting, not the only thing that happens here. There is monster trucks. There is an event called Crashorama, which is essentially just a series of derbies on asphalt. It's absolutely crazy. There's figure 8 racing, bus racing, boat racing. If you know what that is, you hook a boat to the back of a car, and they set up a track. You go do that. Every other year, there's a fireworks expo here where they set off fireworks on the track, and you're in the stands. It's crazy. I can assure you, you've never seen fireworks that close in your life. Monster trucks, always great. Bring the kids out. It's the American Monster Truck Tour. They do a phenomenal job. As well as there's other events, festivals throughout the year. Give the website a look, see what all they got going on. I guarantee there is something that will interest you on there. Even if you're not into motorsports, there is other things for everybody. The track does an amazing job putting on events. Every single one of them is a banger. I cannot emphasize it enough. And from the drifting standpoint, if you're really into drifting, but you're maybe not really into the competitive side so much, and Pro-Am really doesn't tickle your fancy, please make it a point. Come out to a Met Series event, even just to spectate and hang out. All the drivers that come out are super duper cool. Everyone's really approachable, really nice. You can always find one of the staff guys. We can hook you up with a driver somewhere, maybe even get a ride along in a car if they're into that kind of thing. And it's like 190 drivers, all walks of life, all different builds, everything from a stock BMW through a pro car will be here just hanging out. And it's typically a little bit different of a layout. We try and make it like a little bit more tandem friendly. It's not so much a competitive vibe. Just a really fun event, really good to come out to. You get to meet everybody. You have free reign, I guess, freedom in the pits. You can walk around, talk to everybody, hang out. We have one more coming up here in October. Look at the website there and just find it. All right, we got the lines rehashed out on the track. Try to get them painted down, make it a little bit more visible for the drivers as well as the judges up here in the booth. And you can see on the line, Colin Gillespie with the big land glide on the side of that E46. And Kevin Ferraro, this is his first round, I guess, here at the Lake Erie Speedway Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. He is definitely no stranger to this track, no stranger to the competitive side. This year, he was working on some other things, wasn't able to make it out. So this is his first event is the grand finale, and he is putting on a show. Colin Gillespie going to leave the line first, pulls out a pretty big gap. Kevin, a little bit of lag there on the line, but does make up some ground there on initiation. Colin not quite making it into that first outside zone, but Kevin getting real close to the side of the E46 all the way around the bank as they transition now through the infield of the track. Kevin getting right next to the E46. Colin going a little bit tight on the inside clip, takes out the cone, and Kevin falls back maybe half a car there to finish out the run. And like I was saying before these guys went, Kevin is in the midst of building another car. So this car is either going to be a party car, maybe get retired. I don't know what he's doing with it. But he does all his own fabrication work, and it's absolutely insane what that man can do with some metal and a welder. All right, going to switch him around here. Kevin going to lead the way for Colin Gillespie. You can see Kevin, as soon as he gets into boost, man, that E36 starts pulling buses on people. Colin going to have some ground to make up here as they make their way around the bank. Kevin a little bit higher on the bank, maybe dipping a tire into that first outside zone as they transition now into the infield. Kevin maybe with a little bit better transition there in his chase. Colin trying to make up some ground, and Colin shuts it down before they finish out the lap there. You take a look at the replay. Ferraro just a little bit further up the bank than Gillespie was in his lead. And Colin, maybe a little bit of a gap there. This transition by Kevin into this third outside zone is absolutely perfect. You can see Kevin hits the inside clip exactly where he needs to be, and Colin just goes a little bit deep into that inside zone, takes the cone out there, and then shuts it down, and that will end up with Kevin Ferraro is going to get the win here over Colin Gillespie. Colin, a previous winner here at Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. Kevin, like I said previously, this is his first time out for the year, and man, he is working these guys. I'm seeing there in the YouTube chat, M50 Turbo. Which one we asking? Colin Gillespie's car is indeed an Iron Block M50, and I believe Kevin's is an M52, but I don't want to say that too loud because I haven't looked at that closely. All right, on the line, Joshua Leatherbarrow going to lead the way for Andrei Musienko. Speaking of swaps, man, VR6 in this Audi is nuts. You see Leatherbarrow, nice initiation there. Doesn't quite get into that zone, maybe just sitting a tire there on the line. Andrei shooting sparks as they come through the bank. Leatherbarrow goes a little bit wide there coming off the bank, shooting the cones into the infield. Andrei, though, not letting him get away. I spoke too soon. Andre shuts it down. Maybe a little bit of a loss of power there. The lights went out on Andre. Not sure what was going on there. Take a look here at the replay of that run. See if something kind of sticks out there for Andre Musienko. As we're taking a look here at the replay, I've been asked whoever is flying the drone. So someone is flying a drone over the track that's not part of the media team, and we need to ask you to stop that. We cannot continue with the event. The guys up here flying drones, and it's just too much going on at one time, not to mention the fact that the guys up here are our media team, and they are doing this for the track. So if you have a drone, it's personal owned. Take it down. We can't continue until it's down. All right, we have confirmation. We are good to go. Thank you to whoever that was. We appreciate it up here in the booth. All right, Andre going to lead the way here for Josh Leatherbarrow. Andre with the big weight transfer initiation. Sitting the tire on the zone, and he works his way up to the wall there as they make their way around the bank. Leatherbarrow trying to stay close to the side of the Audi as they come now to that second outside zone. Really deep transition. Leatherbarrow trying to dive in, just catches the side of the Audi and ends up slowing him down just a little bit. Has to try and make up some ground there as they finish off the run. Andre, though, dealing with that bump extremely well there in the lead. Looking here at the chat, Spiral, I believe he's single vaners. You know what I'm talking about. Taking a look here at the replay, you can see this dive from Leatherbarrow just trying to get up to the side of the Audi, and does indeed put a little black mark there on the side of Andre's car. And it slows him down just enough that Andre able to pull a gap there coming into that inner clip in that final outside zone. And you can see that poor inner clip cone, man. It is putting in work this evening. And you can see this is what I was talking about, guys. We are a little bit short-staffed this weekend, so these are media dudes resetting the cones out here. Look at them go. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for helping. All right, you can see their split decision one more time. Andre Musienko and one more time. So we are going to send these guys again, give them a chance. One more battle. You can see on the line now, this is the all-Corvette battle, C6 versus C5. Dirk Stratton in the Lingenfelder LS7 Oracle Corvette versus Andrew Shorkey coming from Canada with the Fab Mac LS3 powered C5. And yes, he's got gold wheels, bro. All right, Dirk Stratton going to lead the way here as they leave the line. Dirk Stratton pulls out a pretty big gap, shooting fire out of the back of the vet there on initiation. Shorkey's car making all kinds of smoke. He's trying to make up some ground as they come off the bank. Stratton putting one tire out of the track there, coming off the bank, but makes the transition to that third outside zone now past the inner clip. Shorkey, nice tight transition as they come to that final outside zone. These guys, I mean, putting on a clinic here of what you need to do for a battle. Take a look here at the replay. And you can see the flame that comes out of the back of Stratton's vet, and man, that is violent. I can only imagine what it's like to chase that car in initiation. You can see it there again. Dirk, 1, maybe 2 tires off there as they come off the bank, though. Shorkey taking advantage, dives in there to the side of Stratton's vet, and you can see that transition tail lights reflecting off the front of Shorkey's car there. All right, the lights are on. Shorkey going to lead the way now for Dirk Stratton. Shorkey clutch kick, nice weight transfer initiation there. Up nice and high on the bank. Stratton there right behind him. Shorkey dragging the bumper, coming off the bank, makes his way into that second outside zone beautifully. Nice transition from both guys there on the infield. Stratton kind of diving in there on Shorkey as they come to finish up right against the wall. Absolutely textbook there from Andrew Shorkey in the lead. All right, lots of discussion up here from the judges. Clearly not a guarantee, but Shorkey going to take the win. Yeah, so ultimately coming down to it, talking to the judges up here, Shorkey nice and high on the bank, everywhere he needs to be, making smoke, making forward momentum, everything's going great. Dirk Stratton a little bit lower on the bank, and then he ends up overcooking it, coming off the bank into that second outside zone, puts 2 tires off, and Shorkey's lead run was just textbook across the board, everything you need to do. So here you can see Troy Manners and Elliott Rose. Rose probably going to have the work cut out for him on this one. Manners is an absolute monster. You can see nice high initiation there by Manners. Keeps the tire in the zone all the way around, but Rose right to the side of the S14 everywhere. Manners feeling all of outside zone number 2. Good transition into outside 3. Elliott goes for the dive and ends up maybe costing him a little bit of ground there. He's got to check up as they finish out. And Manners putting down an absolute heater of a lead. But Elliott Rose, no slouch there in the chase, staying right on the side of that 240 everywhere. Except for just that little, he dove in there in that third outside zone, as you'll see here on the replay, and it ends up just kind of choking him out a little tiny bit, and he's got to try and make up some ground there from the inner clip to that final outside zone. You can see there that big dive, and then he's got to kind of brake check, try to knock it into the side of the S14, and then Troy Manners jumps back on throttle at the perfect time and ends up pulling out a little bit of a gap there on him. All right, Elliott Rose now going to lead the way for Troy Manners. Troy, I'm assuming his spotter told him you're going to have to put a heater down. And Elliott knows and lead exactly what he's got to do. Initiates a little bit shallow. Ends up running kind of a midline, but works his way back up the bank. Manners not giving him any room anywhere there. Elliott with a little bit of a slow transition ends up going 2 tires off maybe out of the backside of that zone. And Troy, I mean, tolerates it extremely well, stays right where he needs to be, doesn't let him get away anywhere, doesn't get into the side of the FRS, does. I mean, just as a calculated driver, Troy Manners is hard to beat, man. You can see here on the replay, Rose initiates, and he's just a little bit shallow, but as he makes his way around the bank, he's kind of working his way back up into that zone. And Troy there, maybe a car and a half behind him, just sitting in the smoke, waiting for the transition. And there you can see Elliott goes a little deep and ends up kicking a couple of cones there into the infield. But Troy, I mean, just manages it so well. And then there at the end of the run, just putting the pedal down and sneaking up on the side of the FRS. All right, just giving the judges here a moment to take a look at this and make a decision. All right, guys, clearly a difficult decision here. The judge is taking some time to look at this. Looking here at the YouTube stream, I'm seeing both names rolling through. This might be a divided decision, but Troy Manners ultimately going to take it unanimously over Elliott Rose, and we'll move forward here tonight at round 4. Like I was saying before, man, Troy Manners is just such a calculated driver. He puts that car in the exact same spot every single lap. And when he gets in chase, he is so aggressive when he needs to be, leaves all the spacing right where it has to go. Casey Rodriguez now going to lead the way for Adam Bergener. Casey Rodriguez with a nice weight transfer, a little bit of a break there, trying to get the car to back up the bank. Bergener struggling pretty bad there on the bank, a little bit of wavering, bunch of corrections. And you can see Casey Rodriguez is just known for putting down a phenomenal lead run. And Bergener there towards the infield and making his way to the end, able to make up some ground and just kind of stick to the side of Casey Rodriguez. Cannot say enough good things about Casey Rodriguez as a driver. To see where he's come from to where he is now, the amount of progression he's put down and being part of the whole Yeet Fleet squad. And Adam Bergener there, 4.8 liter LS, 240. Definitely a little bit of a horsepower disadvantage here, struggling to keep up with Casey there on the bank. And this is kind of one of those situations where I know that Casey's got the power and he definitely has the drive, but chasing a car that is a little bit slower than your own sometimes proves to be a little bit difficult, but Casey in the past is just unfazed by this situation. He lives and breathes driving, absolutely monstrous behind the wheel. Give Bergener a chance here to lead the way. Casey Rodriguez less than a car between the two on initiation. Bergener initiates nice and high, trying to keep angle in the car as they make their way around. Does a very good job there in the lead of keeping angle in the car all through the bank. They transition now into the infield. Bergener comes up a little bit shallow and ends up looping it around. Casey dives out, finishes off the run. Unfortunate event there for Adam in the 4.8 liter powered 240 SX. See there on the replay, Bergener just a little bit too much angle there coming through that third outside zone, ends up looping it around, and Casey does the right thing, sneaks out to the left and just makes his way off to finish the run. There you have it. Casey Rodriguez going to move on over Adam Bergener. I can see Tom Perner there calling out the okay, Casey, no chill in the chase. When has there ever been chill in chase? When Casey's the man driving the car. You know better than that. There you have Josh Leatherbarrow going to lead the way here for Andre Musienko. Leatherbarrow goes for the straight line initiation, nice and high on the bank. ends up driving down just a little bit, but Andre in chase, not letting him get away by any stretch of the imagination as they come now into the infield. Leatherbarrow, really nice transition there to that third outside zone. Andre just sneaking up to the side of that 135i. Sparks coming out of the back of the Audi as they finish off. Andre not giving him any room. And Leatherbarrow putting down a fantastic lead line there. See here on the replay, Leatherbarrow initiates really high on the bank and then just kind of drives down the bank as they make their way through, but keeps the tire on the line all the way through. Andre, though, less than a car between the two everywhere, and you can see a little bit less angle in the Audi, but he's using that to just sneak up to the side of the 135 of Josh. And Andre going to lead the way now. Leatherbarrow getting a chance to answer back and chase. Andre with a big clutch kick, weight transfer right against the wall. You can see the lights reflecting off the white of the bank wall all the way around. Leatherbarrow maybe 3 cars between the two. Andre's car just so fast in drift. Leatherbarrow decides not to go for that big dive and to just kind of leave maybe that 1.5 car gap. And it works out well for him. Very consistent chase there all the way around the track. Andre putting down a heater of a lead line for Josh to chase there. You can see there on the replay just how close Andre is to that banked wall. The lights of the Audi reflecting off the white all the way around. Leatherbarrow doing an extremely good job there in chase. Nice consistent gap between the cars. Not really able to make up any ground on Andre, but definitely not getting left behind by any means. All right, you can see there on the screen, going to get a side-by-side of these two runs. You can see there, Andre pretty consistently running a little bit less angle than Josh everywhere, but it allows him to make that forward drive to kind of keep the proximity tighter. And Josh in the chase there on the left-hand side of the screen, a little bit shallower, but definitely not letting Andre get away. So both of these guys putting down, I would say, good lead runs. Both of them putting down extremely good chase runs. All right, and there you have it. 2-1, Andre Musienko going to move on over Josh Leatherbarrow. Leatherbarrow going to get the burnout. On his way off the track here. All right, and on the line now, I can see Eric Canananowix and Andrew Faulk. Eric Canananowix with the Voodoo Power under the hood of the Mustang there. Andrew Faulk with the LS under the hood of the U36. You can see a little bit of wavering there from Canananowix on the initiation. Sound like maybe missed a gear on initiation or something. Car went to limiter on him, but he ultimately does get the car to initiate. Faulk drops back a little bit, maybe off-put by that stutter there on initiation, but finishes up 3, maybe 4 cars back off of Canananowix there at the end of the run. Take a look here at the replay. You can see Canananowix full acceleration, then he goes to weight transfer, and the car just kind of straightens up on him. I'm not sure if you can pick it up on the live stream. I'm sure you can, but up here in the booth, you can hear it just went straight to limiter, and he ends up having to maybe kind of jam it into gear there. And I know that he's had kind of weird transmission issues in the past. Hope he's not getting plagued by that again. But Faulk kind of backs off there a little bit on initiation. Never really does make up the ground through the rest of the run. All right, the lights are off, and Faulk going to lead the way here for Eric Canananowix. Big weight transfer there from Andrew Faulk. Gets him right up on the bank. Not quite in the zone, but definitely has a tire on the line all the way around the bank. As they come down to the second outside zone, very good fulfillment there from Faulk in the lead. Good transition to the infield. Canananowix, though, less than a car between the two all the way around. Faulk maybe a little bit shallow there on that final outside zone, but Canananowix within a car length of him all the way around the track. You can see here on the replay, Faulk initiates right on that kind of third dashed line there, which is one of the lanes there for the oval track, and just sits it on the bottom line of that zone all the way through the first outside zone. Gets into the second outside, good transition into the third, hits that inner clip, and then you can see they're just a little shallow on that last transition, but Canananowix in the chase, not phased at all by that, right there on the door of the E36 to finish off the run. You can see there on your screen the most unfortunate of events for Mo Alderman, doing his burnout there to heat up his tires and ends up breaking the car, and you can see the trail of fluid there behind him. And I can see the fluid from up here in the booth going all the way up onto the bank. I don't think that it will necessarily affect the line of the track. It is after shutdown, but definitely going to have to get that cleaned up before we do too much more here. Give you guys a chance to take a look at the side-by-side here for Canananowix and Faulk. You can see Mo there out of the car with the hood open. Another one of the unique things about drift cars is they are not your cookie cutter race car that comes out here and does oval track racing. So each and every one of these cars is going to have a little bit different way you got to tow it, different way to hook up to it. So I give the drivers a chance there to give some direction to the safety guys as to not ruin all the hard work they put into these cars. All right, we have a bracket there up on screen. Take a look at that while we have some downtime here. We're going to have Ferraro and Musienko. That is going to be a heater of a battle. Andrew Shorkey and Troy Manners, that, yet again, absolutely insane battle. And then the winner of Canananowix and Faulk, they're going to go against Rodriguez, Alan Boss in this situation, unless Mo can get that car fixed in his timeout, which judging by the amount of fluid, probably not viable. So to finish off your top 16, you will have Ryan Mucci and Josh Dennis. All right, you can see there on the screen, Andrew Faulk going to move on over Eric Canananowix. So the reason there for that decision being just the failure of initiation there for Eric Canananowix. All right. On the screen there, just going to put up a slideshow there of all the pictures throughout the season here taken by Mr. Robert Beal. Brad Powell's car. All right, we're getting confirmation up here. Mo Alderman going to call his timeout. Hopefully, it's something simple, but judging by the amount of fluid, I'm going to go with this is more of a can we fix it situation.
The track guy is going to take a chance here to repaint the lines while we wait. Mo Alderman going to take his competition time out. And I believe in the meantime, we are going to do the Mucci and Josh Dennis battle. Yeah. Miles says, why is there a slideshow? Well, because cars broke. And it's a really nice way to just show off the track and have some time where you guys can just take it all in. All right, on the line there, Josh Dennis going to lead Ryan Mucci. All right, the lights are off and they have left the line. Josh Dennis with a 2 or 3 car gap there on initiation. Mucci trying to make up some ground now. Dennis very high on the bank wall, just getting higher into that outside zone as they transition now to the infield. Mucci trying to make up some ground. Very nice transition by Dennis there in the lead, getting to that third outside zone as they finish up the run. Josh Dennis out here putting on a clinic there in the lead. Mucci trying to make up ground anywhere he can there in the chase. Listening to some radio chatter up here going back and forth with the pits, it sounds like Mo Alderman lost an AccuSump line. And for the people who may or may not know what that is an accumulator for oil pressure for your engine. So all of the fluid on the track out here is the engine oil of a 2JZ on the track. Mucci now going to lead the way for Josh Dennis. Definitely has some work to do here in the lead. Nice initiation by Mucci there up on the bank. Not quite getting into that zone, but just underneath of it. Dennis all over the side of Mucci. As they come now to the infield, and Dennis makes a dive, gets into the side of Mucci's tire, and ends up sending him around. Mucci going to finish out the run there. All right, taking a look here at the replay. Initiation there by Mucci, a little bit low on the bank, but Dennis following the line exactly where he needs to be. And here as they come off the bank, Mucci just a lot inside, does not get out to that zone at all. Dennis goes for the dive through the smoke and ends up just finding the tire of Ryan Mucci there, and it sends him around. All right, just giving the judges here a minute to discuss this. A lot of interesting things going back and forth here about that spin. Was Mucci so far inside that Dennis just had simply nowhere to go? It forced the transition and kind of puts him in a bad spot, and he ends up with that crazy looking dive and just enough contact there on the front tire to front tire that it sends him around. But ultimately just waiting on a decision here. While the judges deliberate here, Mo Alderman ultimately not able to make it back to the track, so Alan Boss going to take a bye run here. Just let you guys listen in to all the V8 noises. There you have it. Congratulations, Alan Boss. Not the way anybody wants to win, but ultimately will take the win over Mo Alderman. And there you go. Josh Dennis going to take the win over Ryan Mucci. I'm being told it is unanimous, but the graphic is not cooperating currently. So up here talking to the judges about that decision between Mucci and Dennis. And ultimately what it came down to was Ryan Mucci coming off the bank pretty early and having 4 tires inside of an outside zone and leaving Dennis nowhere to go. So the decision being made on behalf of Dennis was the early transition was essentially damage control, and what are you going to do at that point? Because had he stayed on line, that puts Dennis in the K-rails, and that's not good for anybody. So just an unchaseable lead, basically, but coming down to just decision-making on Dennis's part to try and shoot the gap and make it an early transition and still stay on the side of Mucci's car, and that caused the contact and just sent him around. Very interesting battle on the line here. As you guys can see, Andrei Musienko going to lead first for Kevin Ferraro. Kevin doing an absolutely fantastic job here all day and this evening. Andrei Musienko, never a slouch ever when he's behind the wheel of a car. Really interested to see what plays out between these two. Both of them turbo cars, both of them extremely fast. All right, the lights are off. Andrei's left the line. Kevin a little bit slow off the line there. Definitely have to make up some ground here. Andrei Musienko with the weight transfer initiation, getting right up there on the wall, a little bit shallow, but still in the zone. And Kevin making up ground all the way around the bank. maybe 2 cars between them as they come now into the infield. Kevin Ferraro continues to make up ground on Andre Musienko as they come to finish up the run. Kevin putting a tire on the door of the Audi there to come up to that last outside zone. And like I said, I mean, both of these cars extremely fast, both of these guys extremely consistent drivers. And you know that Andre now has the opportunity to lay down a heater of a chase too, because Kevin is so consistent in the lead. You can see there on the run-up, just Kevin kind of getting left in the dust a little bit there by Andre, but he does make up the ground as they come around the bank now into the infield. Kevin cuts the line just ever so slightly, trying to make up some ground, maybe 2 cars between them. Good transition there by both drivers, and Kevin puts it on the door of the Audi to finish off the run. All right, Kevin going to lead the way now for Andre. Andre rolling the light just a little bit, trying to get the Audi into boost early, not let that gap open up. And you can see it works out for him there. They initiate maybe a car between the two. Andre trying to make up some ground now as they come through, pulling a little bit of angle out of the Audi around the bank. Getting right on the door of the E36 as they come now into the infield. You can hear Andre just trying to surge up on the door of Kevin Ferraro's BMW as they come around to finish the run. Absolutely fantastic lead run by Kevin. Andre, a little bit of an angle disparage there on the bank, but ultimately does not let Kevin open up a single inch on him anywhere. You can see here on the replay, both cars very good on initiation. Almost maybe a 1-car gap between the two, and you can see Andre just trying to pull a little bit of angle out, get some forward drive going, and it works. And he's right there on the door of the E36 as they come off the bank. Kevin transitions into that 3rd outside zone. Andre less than a car between the two there. A little bit of an awkward kind of transition there to make their way to that final outside zone, but it works out. Less than a car between the two anywhere the entire run. Per judge's request, we're going to have a side-by-side of these two battles. You can see there on the bank, not a crazy amount of difference between the two. Kevin able to make up the ground on Andre very quick there in chase, but Andre towards the end of the bank just getting right to the side of Kevin all the way through that final outside zone as well. About the same gap on both sides of the battle. This is a tough one to call for sure. All right, on the screen there, you can see it one more time between Kevin Ferraro and Andre Musienko. Give these guys a chance to go back, cool the cars down, re-rack them, come back out, and give it another shot. All right, on the line, we have Troy Manners leading the way for Andrew Shorkey. Both of these guys extremely consistent and extremely aggressive drivers. Troy Manor's pulling out a little bit of a gap there on initiation. Shorkey, though, trying to make it up as they come through that first outside zone. Troy filling all of that zone. Shorkey there, right there in chase where he needs to be. Good transition there by Manners to that third outside zone. Shorkey falling back just a little bit past that inner clip. Manages to make it up there as they come to that final outside zone. And like I said before these guys went, both of them extremely consistent drivers and extremely aggressive. Chase lead, doesn't matter. You know it's going to be good. And you can see there on the replay, Troy just hitting all the zones right where he needs to be, and Shorkey behind him just trying to make up some ground there. They come past that inner clip. Troy manages to pull up a little bit of a gap there coming out of the infield back up to the bank wall to finish off the run, but Shorkey able to make it up before they even get to that zone, so not much of a disparage there. Shorkey now going to lead the way. Good initiation right up on the wall where he needs to be. Troy reeling him in as they come around the bank. Smoke pouring off the bank wall up over the fence. You can see an insane dive by Troy there, getting right up to the side of Shorkey's vet, but ultimately has to pull back just a little bit and let Shorkey transition. Closes the gap reopens, and then he finds his way right back into the pocket where he needs to be to finish off the run. Taking a look here at the replay, you can see that initiation by Shorkey, an immediate all throttle. Smoke rolling off the back of the vet. Troy behind him doing the exact same thing in the 240. They come now off of the bank. Shorkey fills all of the zone. You can see that dive by Troy, a little bit of left foot brake there just to slow it down, not to get into the side of that C5. And you can see that gap opens up just a little bit. Troy's got to kind of slow the car down. Shorkey gets on throttle, opens up a little bit of a gap, and then as soon as Troy gets on throttle, that car just moves out so fast, able to make up that gap almost instantly. Give you guys a chance to look at these side by side here. You can see there, I mean, the gaps between the cars a little bit different. Shorkey a little bit further behind, Troy a little bit higher up the bank. And then as they transition into the infield, I mean, almost no difference between the two. Maybe a little bit more of a gap between Shorkey in the chase there behind Troy, but ultimately phenomenal runs by both of these guys on both sides of the board. All right, you can see their split decision. Troy Manor is going to move on over Andrew Shorkey. On the line now, Casey Rodriguez going to lead the way for Andrew Faulk. All right, the lights are off and they've left the line. Faulk jumping the light a little bit, which he's totally allowed to do in chase, trying to make up some ground. Casey with the big weight transfer initiation gets a tire into the zone, sitting on the bank wall all the way around. Faulk behind him, though, not letting him get away by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe two cars between them as they come now to the infield. Casey Rodriguez, a little bit of a slowdown there coming in, allows Andrew Faulk to make up some ground on him through the infield. And you can see just how good Casey is at just getting into the zones, putting that car everywhere it needs to be, giving Andrew Faulk the perfect opportunity to put down a solid chase run there. You can see there on the replay, Andrew Faulk making up some ground there through the bank, pulling a little bit of angle out of the E36, trying to get up on the side of Casey Z. Now as they come through the middle, Casey has to check up just a little bit, scrub some speed off to get into that third outside zone appropriately and not end up tires off. And Andrew Faulk uses it just to sneak up on the side of him there and make it all the way through the end of the run right next to the Z. All right, thumbs up from both drivers. The lights are on. When they go off, Andrew Faulk has left the line. Casey Rodriguez in chase. Andrew Faulk with the weight transfer to get the car up on the bank there. Ends up driving down just a little bit. Casey unfazed, less than a wheel width between the two as they come around the bank. Andrew gets into that second outside zone. Good transition there into that third outside zone. Casey, though, just bullying him all the way around the track here as they make it past that inside clip to finish off the lap. Casey Rodriguez, absolutely stellar chase run there. Andrew Faulk with a phenomenal lead, giving him the chance to make that chase happen. You can see the bumper there of Faulk's E36 just dangling on the back as they finished up putting it into the wall. You can see there on the replay, Faulk just a little bit shallow. Does end up making it a little bit higher up the bank there towards the end, but Casey just absolutely glued to the side of the E36 that entire lap around the track here. See this transition, Andrew Faulk gets a little bit high. Ends up taking the bumper off the back there, but small price to pay. You can see there on the screen, Casey Rodriguez is going to move on over Andrew Faulk unanimously. All right, this is the one more time between Andrei Musienko and Kevin Ferraro. Andrei going to lead the way here. See thumbs up from the drivers there. The lights are on. They are off and they have left the line. Andrei Musienko immediately pulling like a 2, maybe even 3 car gap there on Kevin on the run up. We know how fast Kevin's car is on the bank, and you can see it there making up ground all the way around the bank. Andrei Musienko nice and high on the bank everywhere. You can see the tail lights glowing off the wall there from the Audi. Good transition there from Musienko through the infield. Kevin has to check up just a little bit. Ends up costing him there maybe a 3-car gap as they finish up the run. You can see there on the replay what I'm talking about. Kevin overcooks this transition just a little bit. It's got to check up, and you can see that gap open up as Andrei Musienko just rolls out, smoke rolling off the back of the Audi as they finish that lap. Kevin Ferraro going to lead the way here. Andrei Musienko going to jump the light just a little bit, try to make some boost in that Audi before they get off the line. And it works out for him once again. Kevin Ferraro initiates really high on the bank, maintains a beautiful lead line all the way around. Sparks flying off the back of the Audi. You can see, transition there. Andrei Musienko gets into the back of the E36. Kevin Ferraro unfazed, though, in the lead. Absolutely stellar lead run. Andrei Musienko right there on the door of the E36 to finish it up. All right, you can take a look here at the replay. Kevin goes to transition there, and Andre just kind of just touches the bash bar on the back of the E36, and Kevin has to wait just another half beat longer to transition, but ultimately unfazed, they finish up. All right, side-by-side replay there on your screen. It is actually crazy to me how fast Kevin can make up ground on the bank. I mean, most guys here kind of having a little bit of a fight with the bank all day in practice, trying to just make it work. And then you have Kevin Ferraro, who is, as far as I'm concerned, a pretty basic car. I mean, it's a turbo E36, still the stock engine, drivetrain, all that, and comes out and just lays it down absolutely beautiful every single time. All right, and there you have it. Kevin Ferraro moving on over Andre Musienko. So talking up here with the judges about that decision between Ferraro and Musienko, ultimately Musienko running next to no angle on the bank, and then just that little block he had there on Kevin on transition. The battles were just so tight that we are splitting hairs up here. It hung Kevin up for a half a second, and he had to transition a little bit later, ultimately puts him in kind of a strange line, and Kevin just completely unfazed on both sides of the board. Absolutely phenomenal chase, absolutely phenomenal lead. You got to give it to the man. It was just cleaner all around from Kevin Ferraro, basically. And with that, we're going to take a short commercial break here. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back.
Link ECU, let's get it.
We got the spiciest K-Series built.
Supercharged Ford Eliminator engine.
Oh, good old SR20. Link Monsoon is so rowdy.
Naturally aspirated, 1,000 horsepower, LS-based engine, and then we're going to add nitrous on top of it.
Running an S54 controlled by Link ECU. Link direct injection EcoBoost Fox body.
I actually put an FA24 in it.
B58, E46, Link ECU.
No matter what engine you have, it's stock K24 or it's a 1,000 wheel 2J, Link ECU all day.
taking a look here at the YouTube chat. Guys, you don't need to talk trash on each other in a YouTube comment stream, but sure. Arguing about our favorite foods. Don't have a favorite nugget? You should. Why would you not? His name's Kevin Ferraro. Stop that. Tom Perner says having a favorite nugget is like having a favorite veggie burger. That's not correct. How dare you? We have best pizza, though. Ghost Images says Papa John's. All right, on the line now, we have Josh Dennis in the K24 powered E46 going against Alan Boss in the supercharged LS Zine 350Z. All right, the lights are off and they will lead the line. Josh Dennis not able to get off the line there to keep up with Mr. Alan Boss. Alan Boss initiates. And it looks like Dennis maybe having some car trouble there, shuts it down. The Boss now running unopposed. So unfortunate there for Josh. Dennis shuts it down right after he left the line. And Alan Boss essentially running a buy run there. All right, and with that, we are getting confirmation Dennis is done for the evening. So Alan Boss just has to break the beams here, and we will call it good. All right, we're good to go. All Alan Boss has to do is get across the line under his own power. He does that. And with that, Alan Boss will move on over Josh Dennis. Terrence says, wood-fired pizza is the best. I built my own pizza oven. Can confirm it is the way. Come again, AJ? All right, while we let the guys get out here and get their tires warmed up, having fun here in the YouTube chat. Chick-fil-A nugs are a contender for first, I suppose. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm also hearing Raising Cane's. I've never had Raising Cane's, but I will not take your word for it. Chick-fil-A all day long, sir. I see. If the judges were a cookie, what cookie would they be and why? Matt Knapp coming in with the hardest cookie of all time, the chocolate chip. On the line now, Kevin Ferraro and Troy Manners. Troy going to lead the way. Both of these guys, stellar, absolutely pumped to see what happens in this battle. They have left the line. Kevin Ferraro getting left just a little bit, but does get off the line. Troy Manners, fantastic initiation, way up on the bank, all the way around. Kevin trying to make up some ground here as they come down into the infield through that second outside zone. And Troy, man, just maintaining that gap everywhere. That 240 is so fast. Kevin Ferraro, though, doing his best, trying to kind of maybe cut a little bit here, nip and tuck, and try and make his way up to the side of Troy Manners there to finish it out. All right, you can see there on the replay, Troy Manners keeps a gap maintained everywhere, and you can see Kevin there behind him just trying to make it up wherever he can. Cannot emphasize just how fast Troy's car is in drift. Kevin, though, no slouch, not really letting him open the gap up anymore, but not able to make it up there to finish out the run. And have to assume that Troy's spotter's in his ear going, you're going to have to push on this one, so eager to see what comes from this battle here on the second half. Kevin initiates high up on the bank, keeps the tire in the zone all the way around. Troy, though, about the same gap as Kevin had all the way around that first outside zone now as they come to the infield. Really nice transition there by Ferraro in the lead. A little bit less of a gap there between the two, and Troy trying to make up some ground as they come to this final outside zone. This is going to be an extremely difficult battle to judge. Giving you guys a chance here to take a look at the replay of the second half of that battle. Kevin Ferraro making his way into all the zones in the lead, right where he needs to be, kicking a couple of cones there into the infield, makes his way to the inside clip, and finishes it off strong in that outside zone. Troy Manners, just maybe a one-car gap between the two there all the way through the run. Judges now requesting a side-by-side replay to get a better idea of comparison here. And you can see there, I mean, the gap may be ever so slightly wider between Troy in the lead and Kevin in the chase, but ultimately not a whole lot of difference here. Troy may be doing a little bit better job in chase of maintaining the same line there as Kevin, but at the end of the day, I mean, to judge those two runs side by side is going to be a difficult task for the judges up here in the booth. While we wait for a decision here, I'm seeing in the chat, Miles Spellman says he's never seen a 7-Eleven. I need you to seek one out and find it then. How dare you? While we wait here, once again, just want to reiterate the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. This is your grand finale, your final round, round 4 of 2025. This is brought to you by ProWay Services, Formula Drift, ECU Master, Drift PA Ohio, New York, and Distinct Drift. You can see it there. We are going to see a one more time battle between Kevin Ferraro and Troy Manners. All right, you can see there on the line, 2 yeets. Casey Rodriguez is going to lead the way for Alan Boss. You can see Alan Bosch sticking right to the door of Casey Rodriguez all the way around that first outside zone. They come now to the infield, absolutely hauling the mail. And Alan gets into the back of Casey Rodriguez in transition, ends up kissing a K-rail there. Casey Rodriguez is going to finish out the run by himself. What an unfortunate event there, man. Alan Boss absolutely all over the side of Casey all the way through that first outside zone, and then just a little bit too zealous maybe there on transition, ends up putting himself into a K-rail. Casey Rodriguez transitions, continues driving Miss Daisy as normal. All right, you can see there on the screen it would appear as though the front wheels of Mr. Alan Boss's Z are pointing in different directions, which is never a good thing to see. All right, you can see here on the replay, Alan Boss getting right to the door of Casey Rodriguez as soon as they initiate, and just keeps it there all the way around that first outside zone. As they come down to the middle, Casey Rodriguez goes to transition, and Alan just doesn't quite give him the room and ends up getting into the back of Casey Rodriguez. Casey Rodriguez takes the drive over to take a look at his teammate, see what's going on, and is going to make his way off track. I believe Alan Boss in this moment probably going to have to call his competition timeout, and hopefully he can get that car fixed and we can see the second half of this battle. You can see Alan Boss on the screen there, hood in hand. Well, at least show us the hood, Alan. There it is. Oh, man, what an unfortunate event for Mr. Alan Boss, but going out with his head held high, carrying what I can only assume is like a 2-pound carbon hood, so. All right, you can see there on your screen your bracket all the way down to what is going to be your top 2 battle and your 3rd and 4th place. Alan Boss ultimately is not going to be able to make it back out onto track, I don't believe. So there you have it. As the safety team gets wrapped up here, putting everything back in its rightful places, you can see on the background Troy Manners and Kevin Ferraro going to come do their one more time battle. All right, you can see there on the screen, Troy Manners is going to lead the way here on the first half of this battle for Kevin Ferraro. They have left the line. Troy, nice initiation right against the wall. Kevin, less than a car between the two, has to back up just a little bit as they come now to this second outside zone. Maybe a 2-car gap between the two. Kevin Ferraro dives in on the side of Troy Manners' 240 SX now as they come past that inner clip to finish off the first half of this battle. Maybe a car, maybe 2 between them as they finish up there against the wall. All right, you can see the replay there on screen. Troy initiates right against the wall. Kevin sneaks up to the side of him and then ends up having to back off just a little bit there on the bank. You can see they come down into the infield. Troy fills all of outside zone 2 and 3. Smoke rolling off the back of the 240. Kevin trying to make up some ground there in the E36 to finish off the run. All right, Kevin now going to lead the way. Troy Manners has to know that he's got to put down a heater of a chase here. Kevin goes for the straight line initiation, little handbrake pull to get the E36 sideways. Managing maybe a 2 or 3 car gap there on Troy all the way around that first outside zone on the bank. Transitioning down into the infield, Kevin fills outside zone 2 and 3, hits the inner clip, and makes his way up to the wall to finish off his lead run. Troy maybe leaving a car and a half, leaving a little bit on the plate there, not quite getting to the side of the E36 anywhere during that run. You can see there on the replay, Kevin not quite getting as wide on that first outside zone as Troy did in his lead, but Troy also not really ever getting to the side of the E36. He makes up a little bit of ground there coming into the inside clip. Transitions a little early and ends up very shallow there to finish off his chase. All right, we'll take it to the side-by-side here. You can see there in his chase, Troy just staying a little bit more on line with Kevin, but ultimately never really does close up the gap. Kevin trying his best to get up close to Troy in his chase and does fill all of the zones in the chase, whereas Troy, you can see there on the latter half of that run, cutting some lines there, trying to make up some room on the E36. Judges taking their time here to deliberate on this one. That battle, I can see it in the chat, people saying they would not want to be a judge in this case, and I could not agree with you more. And you can see on the graphic on your screen there, Troy Manners going to take the win over Kevin Ferraro. So talking with the judges up here, trying to get some confirmation on how they feel about those runs, and ultimately just coming down to leads. Troy on outside zone number 1 was just much closer to the wall all the way around the bank. He filled all of the first outside zone. And then Kevin, in his lead run, ended up dropping a tire towards the latter stages of his lap and ultimately just splitting hairs trying to get some kind of decision made up here. That is what led to Troy Manners moving on. Looking here at the chat while we wait, and looking at Pernstar says, pretty certain that means we have a 2-yeet podium guarantee. Yeah, that is correct. That is an accurate statement, Mr. Perner. Kevin showed out tonight, 100%, dude. Kevin showed up. This was his only event of the year, and to make it to, top 4, and the whole time just getting nothing but praise from everybody up here in the booth. And that is also correct, Mr. Pernstar. Finals between Manners and Casey. And yeah, it is indeed going to be bonkers. I agree with you 100%. Media people by the summit tent. You're on camera, act like it. What's up, you gorgeous human beings? How's everyone doing? Shout out to these guys. They've been on track all day long. Hot, cold, doesn't matter. As well as helping reset the cones and everything else. You can see down there, Valera, AJD, 454 Media, Nathan Sell, Dane Schustster. Look, hands up, wave them around. Love you guys. Gary's got, I believe, Moe's taillight. You gonna give that back, or is that a souvenir? He said no. S14 taillights do pull a premium these days. Nash Winter says you can just leave it by the S14 on the way out. He'll take it. Gary says no. I see a don't forget Gage. Is Gage down there? Wave. That's Cody McGehee on screen right now for sure, acting like he's not there. There's Gage. Hi, buddy. Yeah. I see not Gary's first souvenir of the day. No, it isn't. Gary also sent me a picture of what I believe is the broken something out of the back of a Corvette as well. Yeah, not sure what it was. Not enough size there to make a determination. What you thinking about, Cody? Media shout out to the guys from Deadbird. We had you on frame. I didn't hear it in time. I apologize. Love you guys. Thanks for coming out. Cody McGehee, Squigs says, I have whiplash, but I love you anyway. All right, as we wait for this final battle to get their tires warmed up, just want to reiterate one last time. This is the fourth and final round of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series here at Lake Erie Speedway, brought to you by Pro Waste Services, Formula Drift, ECU Master USA, Drift PA Ohio, New York, and Distinct Drift. Distinct Drift, the #1 dealer of Zestinos here on the East Coast of the United States. If you haven't tried Zestinos yet, give them a shot, give them a call, look them up, do everything you need to do. Come out here and drive your car. On the line, Casey Rodriguez and Troy Manners, your final battle of the evening. Final battle of the season here for the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. Expecting these guys to put on a show. All right, thumbs up from the drivers. The lights are on. They extinguish and they have left the line. Casey Rodriguez going to lead the way. Troy Manners absolutely has to put down an insane chase here. Casey initiates, not quite getting all the way out to the wall, but works his way up as they make their way around the first turn. As they come now into the infield, Troy diving into the side of the 350Z, just pushing Casey around. Ends up driving up the front tire of Casey Rodriguez, but does not stop, continues and finishes out the run. For those of you who have watched Formula Drift in the past, you know how dangerous that situation is, and you know how confident Troy is in his abilities to just stay in it and finish off the run. And you can see there on the replay, Troy Manners getting into the tire of Casey Rodriguez ultimately cost Casey a door skin. All right, just giving the guys a second here to reset that inner clip and put a cone down so we can send these cars. All right, the track is reset and we are good to send cars. The lights are on. They are off. Troy Manners going to lead the way now for Casey Rodriguez. Troy initiates extremely high on the bank. You can see the lights reflecting off the wall. Casey Rodriguez all over the door of that S14, all through the first outside zone. As they transition now into the infield, you can see on the screen there, Casey Rodriguez missing a door, does not care, is absolutely pinned to the side of the S14 all the way through that run. Absolutely insane chase there by Casey, and a picture-perfect lead run by Troy Manners. Tom Perner says, is Casey's door gone? Sure is. All right, confirmation has come in. We do have a decision made. So we are going to get the guys to go line up underneath the arch before we do any announcements. Feel free to run over there and take a look. Once we get the announcements done, typically there is a celebratory burnout, and it is a sight to see. If you have not, go over there and check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see there on the screen, got the nice top-down shot of the arch there on the chute to the Speedway. We will give you first your third place competitor here this evening. From Oak Harbor, Ohio, driving his LS9 powered 350Z, Alan Boss. Huge congratulations to Alan's. Sponsored by FabMac, Wilder Drift, Lake Erie Speedway, Kong Performance, Wagner Automotive, Extreme Graphics, and Koenig's Wheels. Fantastic job, brother. Good job. Congratulations. All right. And now it's time to crown a champion here this evening. The winner of the grand finale of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series here, round 4. In first place, the second Yeet Fleet member on the podium, Casey Rodriguez. Absolute huge shout out to the Yeet Fleet team, Casey Rodriguez, coming from Fremont, Ohio, in the LS9 powered 350Z. Huge congratulations, sir. Drove your heart out, wearing the big hat, getting all the pictures and all the hugs from the kids. Cannot congratulate him enough. Absolutely fantastic job all night. And that puts in second place from Punxsutawney, Mr. Troy Manners. Troy, absolutely phenomenal job driving all evening, all morning, all afternoon. Good job, man. And with that, I would also like to announce the champion of the points overall for the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series here in the year of 2025 by 4 points. Alan Boss. Alan Boss will take home the championship here, getting a third in the final round. Casey Rodriguez, huge congratulations, taking home first. Troy Manners fought hard for second all night. Let the boys get some pictures, and then we will have the celebratory burnouts over there. Go take a look. Once again, Great Lakes Pro-Am Series brought to you by Pro Way Service, Formula Drift, ECU Master, Drift PO Ohio, New York, and Distinct Drift. Thank you all, love you all, and with that, the 2025 Pro-Am Series has come to an end.